Wow, drink a lot of water. Voice tips. You know what? The more that you can familiarize yourself with your own voice, the better. That may be kind of vague. The more you do vocally, especially, I tell you what guys, here's what you want to do. Get on a microphone. Get on a good microphone and put headphones on and listen to what you sound like. And then play it back and become familiar with what your voice sounds like and then what you can make it do. It purely comes from just experimenting with your own voice. You'd be amazed how different you sound than you think you sound. How many of you, I bet you 90% of the people, the first time you heard your voice recorded, you're like, crap, is that me? Right? You know why? Have you ever thought about this from a biological standpoint? When you hear yourself talk, your voice is resonating around in your head. It's bouncing around against the bones and the resonators in your head. Nobody else hears you the way you hear yourself. You ever think about that? Nobody else. You don't sound like you think you sound to anyone else. And there'll be times when I'll hear a recording of a character that I did, and I'll think, dang, I thought I did a better job than that. You know what I mean? Because I heard it a certain way in my own head, and then when I heard it played back, I was like, yuck. So it takes just practice to become familiar with your voice. And a microphone, you know, I could do things like this. This is what I did. I could do very subtle things and even sound like I'm about to cry. You would never have heard that, right? But you see, the microphone is so sensitive, and big expensive mics, they catch everything. So you learn to control the subtleties of your voice to communicate emotion. And you really do that just by hearing yourself do it and practicing. Okay, yes?
You played Junpei in Persona.
Yes, Persona. Yes, Junpei.
Was it hard for you to get back into character for Persona 3 Portable, especially since they created new lines for the girl version?
It wasn't that hard because I really liked him. I liked him a lot. And I'll tell you something else. Excuse me. When you talk about getting into a character, when you talk about getting into a character, I was more interested in what they were saying over there. When you talk about getting into a character, if you've played the character long enough, you just drop right into that character. You know what they, like, you know, I've played Ed, or Tamaki, or Death Scythe, or, you know, Fi, or Ikaku, or any of a number of characters, enough that when I go in to record Ikaku for Bleach, or as I'm told he's now being called Ikaku, I don't even understand that one. I'm not kidding you. You guys want to hear something funny? We've recorded 140 episodes of Bleach. And the first 120, he was Ikaku Madarame. I went in last week, and the engineer was like, Ikaku. I'm like, no, wait a minute. We've been calling him Ikaku all this time. She's like, I know. Now they want to call him Ikaku. I'm like, are you kidding? How can we suddenly just change his name pronunciation? All right, you know. So when I go in to record characters like that, I know them. I remember them because I've done them enough. However, a character like Junpei, for instance, maybe somebody you just did once, and then months went by and you had to come back and do that character again. And you know, I've done 50 characters since then. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I did. I don't remember what I did. They will play you a reference line. They'll go back into the recording session and they'll pull lines from the original recording. And they'll say, okay, this is what you did. And you can hear yourself, and they'll say, match, you know, repeat after yourself. So, you know, if the line was, you know, I will drink this coffee. And then I would go, I will drink this coffee. I will drink this coffee. And you work on dialing in that character back the way you did it originally. That's how you do it at the beginning, when you're still kind of like, I don't remember what I did, or help me. But once you've done it for a handful of episodes, you remember pretty well. Okay, young lady. Yes, sir.
For aspiring voice actors or, I don't know, even singers out there, where are some great places, or where are the best opportunities to, I guess, audition for voice acting or get jobs?
Good question, and I know a lot of you guys are interested in that. Here's the thing, there are opportunities everywhere. They may not be exactly the same opportunities, but there are opportunities everywhere. Let me tell you what I mean. If you specifically want to do voice acting, I want to play a character in an animated show or video game. There are only a handful of places that kind of work is done. Los Angeles, Dallas, some in Houston, Vancouver. I've heard there's a little bit in Toronto, but not much. Some in New York, okay? But that's about it. Now, if you're interested in voiceover, as opposed to voice acting, voiceover is like commercial work, you know? Come on down, save $100 on such and such. Or, you know, if you're suffering from hemorrhoids. You know, whatever. Commercial work, right? Voiceover work, you know? Every city has those. Every city, even little cities, have businesses that want to advertise their business. And they want to make a radio commercial, or they want to do a TV spot. They need somebody who can articulate and has a nice voice and can put some kind of energy into it, make their business sound interesting. So there is voiceover work in just about any market. And I can assure you there's voiceover work in this one. It's a huge market. When it comes to singing, all I can tell you guys is just do it. Just take any opportunity to do it. You know, do it because you love doing it, not because you think somebody's going to pay you to do it. Notice the difference? I'll give you an example. How many of you guys draw? A lot of you. See, I get art from you guys all the time. I love the artwork that I get. See how many people draw in here? Now let me ask you a question. Do you draw because somebody paid you to draw? No. You draw because you have to draw. You draw because you love drawing, right? It has nothing to do with making $1 million. Yeah, I'd really like to draw a cloud from Final Fantasy, but nobody will hire me to do it. No, you don't say that. You do it because you enjoy it, right? That's the key. Whatever you do, that's the key. Find something that you have a gift for and that you love doing, and then figure out a way to make some money at it. Maybe not $1 billion, but if you get to do something that you enjoy, something that exercises your talents, you will be infinitely happier. Making a handful of money. If you can pay your bills and you get to do something you love, you are blessed among men. I promise you. Because there are millions of people out there who make tons of money doing something they absolutely hate. And you know what? After a little while, all the money in the world just isn't that satisfying. Because they're so unhappy. I saw my dad. Really? I saw my dad. God bless you for even acknowledging that. My dad put on a 3-piece suit and a briefcase and went away every day to a job he hated. And you know what? It made his life miserable. And guess what? It made my life and my mom's life miserable as well. And it wouldn't matter if he was making $1 million. He was miserable. So let me encourage you guys. Find your talents, whether it's voice acting, voiceover, drawing, painting, singing, acting, writing, whatever. And develop those skills. Become good at them. Don't sit and wait for somebody to hire you to do something. Become good at it already. If you get an opportunity to do something and you have not developed the skills to do it, that may be the only opportunity you ever got. And you weren't ready. You know what I mean? So have the skills ready to go. Excuse me. I've met a lot of people who are like, you know, I would love to be a voice actor. If I ever get the chance to audition, well, what are you doing now? What are you doing now to prepare for that moment? Should that door of opportunity open, what are you doing to prepare for it? Well, I watch TV, and I imitate the guys on TV. No. You've got to be ready for the opportunity, right? So develop your skills and take any opportunity. And in a market like this, there are plenty of opportunities to sing, to, I'm sure you guys have community theater up here, probably several, that you can act and sing and develop those abilities. Okay, that was from him, so take a young lady, yes.
The creator of Full Metal Alchemist has gone on record saying that she actually prefers the English cast members for the show.
Really?
She
OMG.
So she actually prefers what you use over.
Can I show you something? Did you hear what she said? Did you guys hear what she said?
Yeah. Yes.
I have to show you my phone. See my phone? See my cell phone case? Now, let me tell you why this is special. Let me tell you why this is special and related to what you just told me. I'm just trying to formulate my thoughts here. Several years ago, how many of you have ever seen Full Metal Fantasy? Yes. Wow, that few? Well, I was going to show it, but I can't. Full Metal Fantasy is a little live-action fan film that I made, where me and several of the other voice actors dressed up as our characters. And I show it only at conventions. I don't sell it. It's not online. It's a gift for you guys at the convention. I'll make you a deal. Come to the concert. I'll show it. Okay, now, you're like, crap, I didn't want to go to the concert. Now I want to see the movie. Decisions. But after I made this, a friend of mine that worked for Square Enix called me and he said, I'm going to Japan next week, and what's her name? Arakawa Sensei, Hiromo Arakawa, who created Full Metal. She wants to see your movie. She heard that you made some little live action thing where you dressed up as Ed, and she wants to see it. And I was like, I didn't even know she knew I existed, and she wants to see this movie. So he said, will you burn a DVD and send it to me? So I did. 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a box in the mail, and it was from Square Enix, Tokyo. I opened it up, and it was full to overflowing with all this Full Metal swag that I had never seen in my life. Now, I do a lot of conventions, you guys. I've seen it all. I've signed it all, right? Right? I mean, I saw stuff in there that I'd never seen. I saw a Full Metal cuckoo clock with a little Ed face going down the and it was the angry face. It was the little angry bean face. A tea set. There was a beautiful little tea set with Roy on one teacup and Ed on the other teacup. A Full Metal Alchemist calculator. I mean, amazing stuff, you guys. Stuff I'd never seen before, right? So I'm digging through all this stuff like, it's Christmas! Then I got to the bottom. Excuse me. Then I got to the bottom. And at the bottom of the box, there was a manila envelope. And I opened it up. And on a, what do you call them? Not a pencil board, but you know the white boards they sign autographs and stuff on? Yeah. On one of those boards was a full-color, one-of-a-kind drawing of Ed from Arakawa. And in the corner it said, to Vic, Ed loved your movie. And she signed it, and this is the drawing that she did. I scanned it on my computer and made a phone case out of it. So that's why that picture is special to me, because it doesn't exist anywhere. How are you doing? Are you doing okay, son? So we always run out of time. It makes me so sad. Last week I was at a convention and they gave me an hour and a half for Q&A. I'm like, now that's more like it. Because I get to chat with you guys more. It seems like we always run out of time. Okay, young lady there. So let's go with the gentleman right here.
I was at CFCon and Gary Chalk basically talked about how he shifts the register in his head, where where he tries to project his voice from in order to get the variety of voices he does. So how do you basically, get your variety of voices? What do you do?
Well, he's right. Gary, I know Gary, he's a great guy. And he's exactly right. You can place your voice in different positions in your head and get it to sound differently. When I did the Chuck Huber thing, I pushed it up into my nose a little bit more. He has a little more nasally quality than I do. And of course, when you do Broly is down in the chest. Is down in the chest, right? Comes from down here. And when you do Fi, or some character, there's this character in Naruto that I did called Fuen, and Fuen is a man, even though she sounds like a woman. And that's way up in the head. So and again, remember what I told this gentleman? You just practice. You become familiar with what your voice sounds like when you do different things with it, You might want to make it kind of round sounding. Or, just experiment with what it sounds like and record it. Record it. Plug a mic into your computer and record yourself doing different things and just play it back and listen to what it sounds like and how different things sound. Yes, sweetie?
I just was wondering, how many hours do you do in a day to practice your voices? Because I'll practice for hours to get a voice right with amateur voice acting. So I just wondering how long.
I think I would have to say, I don't practice. I don't practice because I'm actually working so much. But I will say this. My practice was the years spent leading up to what I'm doing. All of the acting, all of the theater work, and all of the singing, and all of the weird little things that I did all contributed to help, getting me to where I was at a point where I got the chance to do it, and I did okay, and they let me do it again, and they cast me again. So I don't spend a lot of time really practicing a voice. I'll throw a couple of ideas out, if I'm auditioning, I'll try a couple of different things, and a lot of times the director also has an idea himself of what he wants. So what you end up with is kind of a combination of what your ideas and the director's ideas. Yes?
Is it possible to break into voice acting
If you have a limited range of voice? Absolutely. There are plenty of voice actors that I know you probably know by name. You recognize their voice that quick.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure you would probably say, well, yeah, you're one of them. But there are a lot of characters that I've done that you might not even know about because they're not as high profile. I try really hard to get to play characters. Let me take that back. I love the chance to play characters that don't sound like me. When you get cast in a lead role, usually it's going to sound like you because that's your natural quality. And if you have to fake a voice, sometimes that can kind of get annoying after a while. And you can start to tell, the audience can start to tell, they're pushing that, they're faking that. You can get away with it for an episode or two as a guest character, right? But if you got to play the lead guy for 60 episodes or 160 episodes, it has to be something that you can maintain, and it has to be something that sounds believable and normal. But if you have a limited range, there's nothing wrong with that. Voice acting is completely about acting. The operative word in voice acting is acting. I know a lot of people that have really cool voices. I've met a lot of little girls who have these cute little, fans who have these adorable little voices. They sound just like Japanese little girls who do the little voices. But they don't have any acting ability. See the problem? Their voice is amazing. But the second you say, all right, in this scene, you've just lost your best friend, and you're sobbing and crying about it, go. They can't do that, right? They've got this tool, this voice, but they've never developed the acting side of it. Acting is the most important thing. I'll tell you guys something funny. Any of you guys old enough to remember years back when anime dubs were really bad? Yeah. When English dubs were so bad, you couldn't bear it. You remember those days? I remember those days. Do you know why? This is really interesting. Do you know why they were so bad? I'll tell you. No, they were bad because back when they first started dubbing into English, what's the word I'm thinking? The general opinion was that the line of thinking was, we need to record guys in audio doing on a microphone, right? Very cool, very cool. Let's get radio guys. Radio guys sit in front of a microphone all the time, right? They know how to work the mic, right? They have these resonant voices and they know how to talk on a microphone. So they used radio guys. Do you see the problem? They're not actors. Many of them have no experience creating a character or taking you to the depths of emotion or euphoria, whatever the character demanded. That's not their forte. They just have these very resonant voices. Now take somebody like me, for instance. You're never going to hear me as a DJ because I don't have that kind of voice, right? But there are tons of people like me who you would never hear as a radio DJ or have that big resonant, movie voice or whatever. But there are tons of characters in anime who don't sound like that. Most of them, exactly. They're normal people, or quirky people, or funny people, or whatever. Sad people, it could be anything. That's why the most important thing is that you can act the character.
Acting, that's why it's called voice acting.
Exactly, that's why it's called voice acting. I'll give you I'm sorry if you guys have seen these videos online, and I'm repeating myself, but it's relevant. It's very relevant. Some people, you could take just about any voice actor me, Chris Sabat, Johnny Bosch, anybody, and you could pull one line from 5 different characters and string the lines together and go, oh yeah, that's the same guy. He sounds the same. But if you watch the shows, the characters are not anything alike. Because the goal is not to change your voice with every character. The goal is to play the character authentically. And this is the example I love to use. We have probably all seen many, many movies with Robert De Niro. Great actor. He's played all these amazing characters, right? He always sounds like Robert De Niro. Recognize his voice that quick. Why? Because his goal isn't to change his voice with every character he plays. His goal is to play the character realistically. And that's the goal of voice acting. I just played a character. Do you guys have Kakaishi up here?
Yes! Yes!
I love Kakaishi, and they're rerunning it again at Cartoon Network down in the States. Well, you know what? Yoshimori. Yeah, I mean, he's teenage, active, angsty teenage boy. Well, how many ways can you do that voice? I mean, there's really not that many. Now, if you watch the show, he's different in his own way than Ed, but the goal isn't like, don't you dare sound like Ed. No, that's not the goal. The goal is play this role as best you can. How are we doing on time? Oh my gosh, I hate that we run out of time.
It's only an hour. Calling is in until 1, so you might.
Well, yeah, but I think they're autographs at 1. So, we'll just spend a couple more minutes, okay, you guys? And then I'll